That's why I raised my
Thank
hand.
you. All right. So for those of you who are joining this recording, I did not record the call that was earlier that started out. It was a lot was going on. So just to back up the folks who are just joining us really fast. Okay, there's some Google Docs here that you're going to have in a recording. Here is our mission statement. We are focused here on mostly the non-federal governmental shift, although this is appropriate for everybody. We are going to cover topics very broadly, but my presentations are on this link. We are trying to keep a hopeful, positive conversation, and here are some hopefully inspiring thoughts for you as you are considering dealing with the disruption. Okay, so thank you for reminding me of that. So we do have, as I mentioned, 10 plus 14 volunteers, and what they're going to be doing, which they've already been doing, is monitoring chat and the Google Doc. They'll be facilitating breakouts. There will not be enough of them, unfortunately, for this very big crowd. I'll do my best to position them. And by the way, in case I forget, when we get to the point of a breakout room, and I'm going to address my volunteers as well as regular participants. If you are a regular participant, I would very much encourage you, please hit the join button. Even if you don't plan to participate, you certainly go on mute, you can do whatever you like. But if you do that, then that'll allow my volunteers to not hit the join button because I'm going to then manually put them into various rooms. So I wanted to give you the behind the scenes of what's going on. That'll help me to help you to help them to start facilitating. Okay. So they'll facilitate breakouts. They will be muting individuals because we want to keep things nice and quiet. And then if unfortunately we have anyone who, we pray that that is not the case, but if there is somebody who's unusually disruptive, they are empowered to remove individuals. So volunteers, would you go ahead and please say hi in the chat? Welcome, so everybody knows who you are. All right. All right. So let's jump into the meat and potatoes here. And let's talk about making this career pivot. Okay. I'm calling this NGPS, the non-federal, no F in there, but non-federal governmental uh, shift. Okay. So, or any other career shift. If you're going non-governmental private sector or any other career shift, it can be done. It does take intention. The reason why it takes intention is because any of you who are hire managers will know this. Employers are very generally risk averse. They're risk averse, right? When they make a hire, they want somebody who can do the job. They want somebody, hopefully, from their sectoral background. They want somebody who's going to minimize their risk where there's not going to be a huge learning curve. Therefore, if you're going to make a shift, and I'll address this a little bit more deeply later on, but I am going to kind of clue you in here that the best way to make a career shift of any sort is to do it through networking. And the reason is that when you show up before your resume, when somebody knows you and trusts you, they are more likely to be able to refer you for what we'll call a creative opportunity, where your background doesn't necessarily line up, right? Check, 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 check. But where there's an opportunity where it's like, wait a second, I know Dominique, I know Julie. You know what? Ashley, my friend over here in the private sector who's in sort of a related community, you know what? I think you should consider Dominique and Julie. And here's why. And they are more likely to open that up and to create a space where that employer can consider you on a creative basis. That's just a little high level. And so as we go through this, how to make the shift, I want you to be thinking about that because first you have to know what you want to do, wherever you want to do it, what the profession and your community. Then we're going to get very specific on how to use LinkedIn, frankly, to do research on what those other communities might be, what those other lanes might be, who you may want to connect with, right? There's lots of ways to do this, but I'm kind of preparing you for this. All right. So the first thing we want to talk about is knowing your brand because that's how all of this starts. You got to know who you are and where you're going. And there are three sections here that I want to talk about. And the first is your superpowers. So you all have what we in HR love to call knowledge, skills, and abilities. And these are things that you have gifts and talents that you have developed over the years. And they are everything from your hard skills, you do project management, you do policy analysis, you do event planning, whatever you do, to your abilities to communicate well or think strategically or build community and all the things, right? And all of those can certainly be transferable skills. Now, what I would like to suggest here is that in order for an employer to be able to effectively utilize those superpowers, they need to ideally fall under your lane and community. Here's why. When an employer has a job posting, and again, if you've ever been a hiring manager, you know what I'm talking about. What's at the top? The job title. It's the first thing that they're looking for. Ideally, they want somebody who knows how to do this job. Secondarily, they're thinking about their own community, the industry, mission, or sector that they're from. If they're an environmental nonprofit, hopefully they're looking for someone who comes from the environmental sector. If they're in health and human services, hopefully they're looking for someone who comes from healthcare and so forth. So when you are thinking about your branding, I would first of all encourage you to think about your lane and your community, your current lane, your current community, and whether you want to shift one or the other. And I would also suggest here that because employers are on the risk, right, they're risk averse, they tend to be a little more comfortable if you're going to shift one, but not both. One, but not both. If you shift both, they get nervous. So as we're going through some exercises here, I'd like for you to be thinking about, do you want to lean into your lane or do you want to lean into community? I'll give you an example. I literally this morning had a coaching call, as what's one of the things I do is career coaching. And I was talking with an individual who works for a nonprofit, actually a known nonprofit, that's actually a cross-sectoral nonprofit. So this nonprofit works with different sectors. And this individual is in what we call, some of you might know, the MEL community, monitoring, evaluation, and learning. And so he realized that his lane is not just in MEL, but it's in strategic planning and program design and all these things. But he's a cross-community kind of guy, right? He could go in a number of different communities. So he's really going to focus on his lane, not as much as community. Some of you might be really community oriented. You are into humanitarian work or environmental or international development, what have you. And maybe you have opportunities to shift your lane. Okay. So I wanted to sit here for a minute because that's a very important first level. But the next level underneath that is going to be getting into those knowledge, skills, and abilities. That's how you're going to be able to distinguish yourself from other candidates once you have figured out where you want to go. Okay. Now, this exercise is the signature exercise that I use actually in all of my coaching with all of my coaching clients, and I call it Passiontivity. It is a lane exercise. And what I'd like everybody to do is grab a sheet of paper, and I'd like for you to take just 20 seconds here and jot down what you see here. Okay, these 4 boxes. Just give you a second to do that. And you're also welcome to take a picture of it. Okay. And I'm going to go through these boxes. Now, let me explain the sort of the backstory here. This is an exercise where we want to help you figure out where you want to lean in to your superpowers, to those skills. In particular, your functional skills, your hard skills, the things you do. Why? Because when you understand what you do, not just how you do it is on the soft skill side, behavioral skills, but what you do, that's going to help you figure out your lane. And your lane is going to be a particular profession. And I have another skill we're going to talk about, technique that we're going to talk about in another slide called ing versus so stay tuned for that. So for now, you're going to be filling this out as follows. So the upper right box is high engagement. These are the functional skills where you are highly skilled and highly motivated, right? You are a rock star at these skills. You know it, everybody knows it, and you love to do this work. Puts a smile on your face, you give discretionary effort, right? Big smiley face emoji. This bottom section, stopgap work, high skill, low motivation. This is work where you are perfectly competent, but truth be told, you tolerate the work. You will do it, you will be a good foot soldier, but it does not get you up on Monday morning. And the only distinction between the upper right and the bottom right is your level of enjoyment, your motivation, your desire to do it. Professional development is in the upper left box, and it breaks down into 2 quadrants, want to and have to. And I define have to as, yeah, I don't want to. Okay. Like I have to, but I don't want to. And they are very different. Okay. So the want to would be areas, skills that you would love to lean into. And one day you'd like it to be in your high engagement box. Have to is, yeah, I know I should be better at X. For example, let's say you're people oriented. You may say, I don't like, I need to be better at managing budgets, right? So that might be your case. So, and the last one is low, which is disengagement. And these are skills that absolutely, totally drain you. Okay. So what I'm going to have you do is very quickly do a 5-minute solo exercise. And all I want you to do for the sake of time right now is complete just the high engagement box which is the upper right. And you're going to just list the functional skills where you are highly skilled and highly motivated, okay? You're going to complete the remaining boxes for homework, but for purposes of today's call, the high engagement box is really where you need to be, because that's going to help us to repurpose into possibly a different lane, if you're looking for that, okay? And then what I'd like you to do is notice any themes about the type of work you enjoy doing. So for example, when I was coaching that individual earlier today, I noticed that in his high engagement box, he kept using terms that were very strategic, very sort of vision oriented. It was strategic planning and program design and all of these things. Whereas in his bottom right box for the stopgap, he put in things like, managing budgets and team development and grant writing and things, because he's not really process oriented. He can do it, but he doesn't like operational kinds of work. So look for the themes in your high engagement box. Think about, what are your superpowers? And is there a community where you want to focus that work? So I'm going to go ahead and put 5 minutes on the clock. Go ahead and have
Hey,
at it.
Shira,
Yes, ma'am.
can you just go back to the previous slide so folks can reference it while they're doing the work?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. Here we go. All right. I know we have 1 or 2 people who just joined. And so what we're doing is we're focusing on this box in the upper right corner, high engagement, where you are highly skilled and highly motivated to do the work. We're looking specifically at functional skills, where you are functional skills, which are the things that you would actually physically do. We're not looking at behavioral skills. We're not looking at the soft skills. It's just in the high engagement box, just the hard functional skills. So again, take 5 minutes and just fill that box out and just really think about it. You might have half a dozen skills in there, 10 skills. Think about your whole career. You don't have to focus on just your most recent position. All right. So I've got 5 minutes on the clock now, 4 minutes probably at this point, and we'll see you back when we're ready. And then we're going to actually do another exercise and put you in a breakout. Oh no. So everyone, we have a little bit of a back-end glitch, and it's my fault. I meant to upgrade my Zoom to allow more than 100 people. I've meant to do that before today, but one of my volunteers just let me know that there has been the limit reached. Behind the scenes, I just did the upgrade. However, I don't know whether that's actually going to allow people on this call to upgrade, or whether that's going to be a refresh. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to ask, beg most humblest pardon, and I'm going to put into the chat the Zoom link for this call. I don't know if any of you if you have the Zoom link ready, but I'm going to ask you to, 1 second here. I'm going to ask you all to actually bounce off the call. Sorry to have you do this. I'm going to put this in the chat. Okay. Here's the Zoom link. I'd like to ask everyone to just bounce off the call, wait 30 seconds, come back in, and I'm hopefully that's going to refresh, and then it's going to allow the rest of the participants to come back in. Okay, so please make sure to grab that chat. And I will see you all in a minute.